The Giants prove they're dangerous, and we're about to find out just how dangerous. Welcome into Hot Reads. I'm Tom Vandervoort, here to talk NFL with Hall of Fame quarterback Troy Aikman. And Troy, let's turn to Sunday, Troy, and start with the first game. Houston Texans traveling to Baltimore. Obviously, Houston very good at running the ball. They were able to do that against the Cincinnati Bengals, but the Baltimore Ravens are not the Cincinnati Bengals. Number one, do you think Houston can run the ball in Baltimore? And number two, how important is it that they do, and does it make T.J. Yates' life substantially easier if they're able to do that?
Well, it would sure help T.J. Yates out. There's no question about that. This is a great defensive team. There's two good defensive teams, actually, as you go into this game. And, you know, another game where these two teams played against each other was much earlier in the season. T.J. Yates was not the quarterback in that game. Matt Schaub was. But Baltimore was able to handle that ball game and win. And so if you look at it, I think it's going to be difficult for Houston to run the football. But it's one of those games, you know, Mike McCarthy with the Green Bay Packers talks about it. He says it's not so much how many yards you get running the ball, it's how many rushing attempts you have. Because that at least makes the defense at least honor the fact that you're willing to call running plays and they have to play it and they can't tee off on the quarterback. And so I happen to agree with that. And so whether or not Houston is able to run the ball effectively, I don't know that that's all that important. They just have to continue to try to run the football, because this Baltimore team, if you get into a situation where you're not at least trying to run it and you're asking your quarterback to drop back and carry the load, that's asking a lot. It's asking a lot, you know, really, no matter who you're playing against defensively. But this Baltimore Raven team, they're pretty tough.
Very tough. And I got to ask you, as a quarterback, you know, when you look at a play on first down and how many yards you're able to gain, and looking at second and third down, the difference between second and, say, 5 or 6, or second and 8 and 9, how does that change your life as a quarterback in terms of what you can really do?
Well, you know, first down, the more success you have on first down, then the better off you're going to be on the second and third downs and the ability to keep the chains moving and pick up first downs. But you know, I always think one of the bigger downs is second down. You know, so if you're able to get good positive yardage and at least make those third downs manageable, it makes it a lot easier. If you have the ability to mix in some of the play action, some of the draws, and not be quite so predictable, you know, as you are on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. Those are hard distances to cover against good teams. And you know, I know from experience that, you know, one of the great things when you have a great runner, as I did in Emmitt Smith, is when, let's say you throw the ball and it's incomplete on first down, and then to be able to hand the ball off and pick up 5 or 6 yards is a nice thing to have, to be able to then come back and be 3rd and 4, or to be 2nd and 8 and run the ball and occasionally be able to pick up a first down running the ball. Those are nice assets to have to complement a quarterback, and that'll be important. But I don't know that Houston's going to be able to get that type of production out of their running game this week.
Yeah, very interesting. What do you think ultimately as far as a pick? You see Baltimore taking this thing at the end of the day?
Yeah, I like Baltimore. I mean, they've been kind of knocking on the door here for the last couple of years, and I like this team throughout the playoffs, as a matter of fact. And I think John Harbaugh does a great job, and I'm playing at home. These teams that are playing at home, all these 1 and 2 seeds, this is a great weekend for them. Not that it meant a lot last year, and not that it's a guarantee that you move on then to the championship game, but I like Baltimore in this game against Houston.
All right, let's turn to the final game of the weekend, the game you're calling, Lambeau Field, Green Bay Packers, New York Giants, a rematch from a game earlier this season. And I think you saw the Giants last week, very, very effective running the ball against the Atlanta Falcons. And they proved, as I think you said last week, that they are, in fact, a dangerous team. Why were they able to run the ball so effectively against Atlanta? Will they be able to do it again? I mean, this was a team that was last in the league in rushing during the regular season.
Yeah, they've gotten better here over the last month of the season. You know, they're running the ball much better. I think if you look at their overall numbers, then you say, yeah, this team can't run the ball. But if you look at what they've done here over the last 5 games or so, they're getting back to the team that they thought they were going to be coming into the season. And so that's been a great thing then for Eli Manning. It helps with the play action passing. It makes things easier for him, the big plays down the field. The biggest key, however, has been the difference in New York defensively, particularly along the defensive line. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. They really disrupted Matt Ryan last week in the wild card game. Prior to that, they had 11 sacks the last 2 games of the season against the Jets and the Cowboys. And that's going to be important in this game. I mean, oftentimes we talk about it. If you've got a quarterback who's as hot as some of these quarterbacks are going into this divisional weekend, you've got to be able to disrupt that guy in the pocket. All of these guys are way too good if given time, and I don't care what you have in the secondary, you just cannot hold up. And so if the Giants are able to continue to get pressure with their 4 guys, they're as healthy as they've been along the defensive line all season long, and they're playing well, and if they can do that, then they have a chance against this Green Bay Packer team.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting comparison to back in their Super Bowl season of 2007 when they played the New England Patriots late, lost 38-35, met them again, obviously, in the Super Bowl and won that game. Do you see any similarities? I mean, a lot of us are going, this feels similar, losing a close game to the Packers late in the regular season, then meeting them again in the playoffs.
You know, I do. And matter of fact, Michael Strahan was talking earlier in the week about it, and he was a little bit skeptical of trying to draw those comparisons. You know, felt that the defense was a more dominant defense at that time, which was probably true. But right now, when you take where they're at, I think there are a lot of similarities with the way the defense is playing, pressuring the quarterback. Offensively, they're better in my opinion because they have a quarterback. Eli played great during that playoff run, but he was not a known commodity at the time going into the playoffs. You know, he had had some bumps along the way. But right now, I think everybody looks at him and knows that he's going to come out and play well. He's played great all season long. He's playing at a place that he's had success. Of course, we remember the NFC Championship game there. And so with that in mind, I believe that the Giants, now there's a lot of turnover from that team. There's about 15 to 17 players that were a part of that championship game. But for those guys that were a part of it, they'll go into Lambeau Field with pretty good feelings about the last time, you know, they were there in the playoffs and being able to pull out a victory. So I expect it to be a good game, and you know, I don't pick the games that I call, but I would tell you that if I were picking it, I don't know who I would pick. I would flip a coin on this one because Tom Coughlin has proven an ability to get a team ready to play in a big game, and I believe the Giants will come out ready to play. I think what the Packers are dealing with right now, Tom, the fact that their offensive coordinator's son, Joe Philbin's son, passed away this week. They're going to the funeral on Friday after practice. This is an exciting time for that organization to be the #1 seed, 15 wins in the regular season, and then to have tragedy hit them because of the passing of their offensive coordinator's son. How that will impact this team, particularly early in the game, is something I think worth looking at. And I believe it's going to be really a classic matchup between 2 excellent teams.
Let me ask you one more question about the Packers, because you know, we were thinking back to '94 and you guys defending your Super Bowl title, so you kind of know what it's like to be the man at the top of the mountain there and having to come back and defend your title. Can you just talk about how tough of a challenge that is when everyone is bringing their A game, obviously, at you?
Yeah, you know, the challenge for Green Bay is really kind of over, in that they're now. They went through the hard part. I shouldn't say the challenge is over. They've been through the hard part of putting themselves in a position to do it. And so the fact that they came out this year and really dominated their schedule and went 15-1 and drew the first round bye, they have now positioned themselves to go out and have success. And now it's just a matter of doing it. But now, you know, the carrot is out there as far as winning a world championship. And so whether they are defending world champions or just a team that had played great this year, teams are going to gun for them no differently than they would any other year. But I think that the point that you make, coming into this season, there's something about getting ready to play a world champion and defending world champion, and teams do tend to play a little bit better, quite frankly, against those teams. But as we go into the playoffs now, and as they go into their first playoff game in this divisional round, I don't think they're going to notice really any difference from what they noticed last year as the #6 seed.
All right, very good. Well, I cannot wait for this weekend's games. Can't wait to talk to you about them next week, and appreciate your time today.
All right, Tom, thank you.